Ayham Homsi. See, I got your name right.
That's right.
Thank you and welcome to the Rice Pudding Project.
It's really exciting.
So you have just to tell the people at home about you.
Yeah.
You have a record label
Kind of.
and a marketing and creative agency,
Yes.
and you have offices in.
I have an office I run the Dubai office,
Okay.
and then we have an office in Riyadh as well.
Okay.
That's basically that Majid, who's also one of our partners, runs in Riyadh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now you started off with the record label first, right? In music.
Yeah.
How did that start?
I don't know if it was ever a label, to be honest.
Okay.
So I think this is really good because I get to clarify to people what I do, because I think
Okay.
like a lot of people, even my friends, don't understand what my life or what I really do for a
Okay.
living. So
Does your wife know what you do?
she's a little confused. My dad is confused. My mom is confused. I keep trying to explain to them every
Because
week.
for me, the wife is the only one that needs to know what you do.
She gets it.
Okay, then that's
So my wife is my wife's also a DJ.
fine. Okay.
So that's kind of how we met. So
All right.
essentially, like, we're both kind of musically inclined.
Okay.
But we'll get to that. I'll tell you a bunch of funny stories about that. But
Okay.
essentially, what we were kind of a artist collective.
Okay.
We weren't like a label, right?
All right.
So that's how it kind of started, and it was under a similar name. So it was me and my brother as the Hrmny brothers, right? So it was me
Okay.
and him, and then we met Majid, and then we kind of got rid of the brothers because we wanted to be more inclusive, and then
Okay.
we were making music together.
And your brother's an artist as well,
So
right?
my brother's an artist.
He's a rapper, or
My brother's a rapper
Okay.
and also like a singer, and Majid is a rapper too, and an
Okay.
artist. So
Do you
it's-
rap?
I don't rap. I just produce. So I
Okay.
make the music with them, right? So like
Okay.
that's how it all started. We were kind of making music together,
Mm.
and then one thing led to another, and we kept having conversations about doing something more with it.
Okay. So you're Dr. Dre, they're Eazy-E and Ice Cube.
Kind of, yes.
I like you see where I did that.
I like that. I
Okay.
like that.
Mm.
So essentially, it's that. So
Okay.
it's music kind of brought us together,
Sweet.
and it was an early time. Dubai was young. There was a lot more going on, I'd say, or maybe because when you're younger, you're out
Mhm.
and you're seeing the sort of the energy in the city.
Yeah.
So there's a good amount of energy, and we started doing these. The way we looked at it was like, oh, there's a really good space for unique type of parties.
Okay.
So we wanted to start throwing parties for like a younger generation where
Right.
it doesn't have the usual format of the top 40. Now, if you want to go back to where like maybe 8 years ago,
Mm.
parties in Dubai were formatted to top 40. So because of where hip hop was and is now, it has suddenly become like pop. So when you go to the club, you're going to hear like 10 Drake songs that everybody knows, and you're going to hear that one Jay-Z song that everyone listens to, and
Yeah.
you're going to hear the same stuff over
Yeah,
and
yeah,
over.
yeah.
And then while we started talking to different people, and where we were relatively musically inclined, the conversation was, I'd love to hear this kind of music, but I never get to hear it out. I'd love to hear this kind of music. So we're like, what if we find a venue and we take over the venue and we start throwing like a branded party?
Okay.
We invite people, and it's a whole idea of like no top 40. We play whatever we want. And Majid used to make this joke, like, we don't want to see the photographer with the ring running around taking pictures for like the platforms to
Yeah.
post them. So it was very like, we don't care. Just show up, wear whatever you want. We used to book our DJ friends. I used to DJ as well during these nights. And the format was stay away from things you'd hear in any club in Dubai.
So you wouldn't be commercial,
No.
but then would that format work? Because you're not hyping
We
up
were
on social
packing
media and
up.
stuff.
We were packing up venues.
Oh, okay. So word of mouth.
We word of mouth. Look, and essentially, and that's where the creative comes from, right? When everyone is moving in a singular direction, the other direction is valid.
Okay.
And that's when you know for a fact that there's need for it. Now, today, there's maybe 10 or even more. Actually, the branded party now has become a thing.
Okay.
So I don't want to take credit, but this has been told to me by different DJs, like, oh, you guys sort of started the branded party
Okay.
movement kind of in Dubai. And it was really awesome. Like, we were doing it, and I remember the last one we did the closing party for Art Dubai.
Okay.
And this was the first time Art Dubai, I think it was like 2,000 people plus, 0 emailers, 0 marketing, just everyone showed up. Obviously, Art Dubai is big, but
Yeah.
we had a lot of the younger crowd show up. So this is the first time Art Dubai has seen a DJ stand up on a table.
But you didn't piggyback on that at all, like the high.
That's the agency.
Okay.
So that's where the agency was born from, because essentially we're trying to make it as artists, but then
Yeah.
we're realizing, okay, cool, we're not going to make enough money and build a career off of it, because unfortunately music in the region at that point is very young. Distribution is not where it's at today.
Yeah.
We're like, we'll do the parties, but then we realized fast that while we like it, you don't want to be up till 3 a.m. every day, and you don't want to kind of be in those rooms you don't want to make that your whole life.
It's not sustainable, especially if you
It's
want to have
not.
kids or you have a family.
Essentially.
Yeah.
But that wasn't really why we stopped it. It's essentially we knew that we had bigger ambitions, and we wanted to kind of make more impact, and we wanted to do things that really mattered. Like we wanted to have an entity, essentially. We wanted to have a company. We wanted to be looked at as entrepreneurs.
True.
We didn't want to be looked at as, because we realized the conversation was like, hey, we heard you guys are promoters. And we're like, okay, this needs to stop. I'm not a promoter.
Yeah.
I have a business degree. Majid's ex-Samsung.
Yeah.
You know, I come from agency. Mo is a reputable artist at that point. Like
Yeah.
we're doing collaborations with Pusha T. We're doing a tour with Spotify. We're not club promoters.
Yeah.
No offense to anyone who is, but
Yeah.
that wasn't the ambition at that point, right?
Yeah.
So we had to pivot quickly to understand who we are. And at that point, brands are reaching out to us and saying, hey, we're going to give you a pair of shoes. Do some cool stuff for us. We're like, hey, how about you don't give me the pair of shoes? How about you pay me money, and then we'll do some cool stuff for you.
Yeah.
And that's where the conversation kind of starts there, right?
Okay.
So
And
we're
that's how you
figuring
went
out.
into the agency.
We're sitting on a couch. We're emailing a bunch of people, trying to figure out what it is. And it really took a long time. Like I remember making the decision. It's like, we're making no money. We're going to zero. We're leaving all of our jobs. We're really going to sit down and try to figure it out. Like bootstrapped all the way. And, you know,
Because you're making money from these parties and you're doing them regularly.
I kept doing parties. So we were doing this big party called Wavy. So that would be like a big room. And then I kept doing a smaller version of Wavy that was focused on a very niche genre. So I was doing like, listen, I love R&B music. I don't get to hear the R&B music that I like outside. So I'm going to do an R&B party.
Okay.
So it was called R and Wave. So I was throwing this small party where I was getting paid a DJ fee and a management fee, and I would book my friend to come DJ. Her name is, we used to call her November Stan. Now she's DJ Don't Touch My Hair.
Okay.
So me and her, we would go back to back and DJ at these parties. So that's
Making an income, surviving, like thriving.
I was making 2,000 dirhams. I was paying Tumi her fee. I was paying a photographer
Yeah.
and a videographer to come take content and whatever. I wasn't making crazy money.
Yeah. But
Right?
you were
It was
getting
cool.
by.
But off of that, like while we're working to launch, I'm also a producer. So I'm like, wait a second. I need to basically make ends meet to be able to survive long enough for this thing to work. So I started utilizing my social platform saying like, listen, I'm recording artists. Whoever wants to come, independent artists in the city, I'm doing songs. Whoever wants to come through, I'll make music with you. I'll mix your stuff. I'll compose the songs for you. We'll record it, etc. And for a good year. And I've always wanted to see if I could if I could live off of it. The question is, when you have something you're so passionate about, the one thing in your mind is like, can I make a living from this thing that I love so much?
Okay.
I quickly found out that I could,
All right.
but I quickly found out that I didn't like it.
Okay. Explain it to me. This is something that you love doing,
I love doing.
and you start making money from it,
Yes.
and then you stop loving it.
I know I still love it.
You still love it.
I just don't want someone to tell me how to do it.
Who's telling you how to do it?
The artist.
But you're the producer. You should be telling
Sure.
them, right?
But then it becomes like I think I don't know, like something about turning it into a proper job. So like we do the agency from like, and we're artists. So like we start like 10:30, 11, we'd work from there all the way to 6 or 5. And then I have sessions on from like 6 to 12.
Okay.
So, and that's how I was paying rent. That's how I was supporting everything, keeping kind of like rent from myself and my brother to figure out how we're going to do this, obviously, right? So within the year, I quickly felt like I was burning out
Okay.
because I was doing this and that while one was paying for the other. As soon as the agency started taking more of a leadership role and required more energy and time from me, I saw myself slowly pull back on the music part
Okay.
for pay.
Yeah.
I still make music today.
Okay.
I still love it a lot, and it's still something that drives me. But I just stopped doing the whole I'm recording artists where I'm doing this, blah, blah. I just kind of wanted to do it more for, sure, you can pay me, but I have to really like your music. And I have to really want to work with you. Like when you're doing it for pay, you're not really choosing the caliber of artists you're working with and the level of creative alignment you have with them, right?
Yeah, so it's like you have a studio and you need to pay the bills.
It was in my house.
And you need to... Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So I was recording people out of my house.
Okay.
Out of my living room.
All right.
Mind you, some of these songs now have, I think there's one that has like 50 or 80 million streams.
Okay.
So like my discography overall has a lot of streams.
Okay. Do you
And
still
mind
collaborate
you,
with your brother as well?
I still do. So majority of my discography is my brother, who's Mo Mulham. He goes by Mo Flow, and Majid, who's Jeed. That's the majority of my discography is that. And then within a period of maybe 1 or 2 years, I had done a lot of collaborations with artists at that point, and then I just slowed down a lot after that.
Okay.
Right. So from that point on, the agency sort of it's a whole it's on. You know, like we have a whole operation.
So music is your so obviously music is your passion. What influenced you as a youngster to get into music?
I don't know if I think I'm a nerd.
Okay.
You know?
Is that because you have a business degree?
No, I'm just a nerd. I like to figure out how things work. It's always been for me, like I've always wanted to uncover, like it's not enough for me to see something and be like, cool. If I like this thing, I really got to figure out how it actually works.
And how does that relate to music?
Because I liked music.
Okay, what type of music did you...
But I like to listen to music.
Yeah.
So I was very passionate about... So I grew up in Damascus, Syria, right? At that point, for some odd reason, I was into like... I remember it was like Michael Jackson. It was like the thing, right?
Yeah.
But like, again, Damascus, Syria, I'm born in 1987. I'm bad with numbers too, by the way.
Okay.
So I don't know anyone's birthdays. 0 people. So
again, I go back. Do you know your wife's birthday?
It's on my calendar.
That's all that matters then.
That's the one.
You won't get into trouble.
Yeah, I don't. I try not to. There's like a week reminder before that, so I just don't ever get in trouble. But so I like to uncover how things work. So I was listening to music for a very long time, but I was so passionate. I was passionately listening to music to the point of I want to know how this is done.
Okay.
But when I was really young at that point, I remember my mom putting me through like getting me a music teacher. Bless her heart. We didn't have a lot of money, but she was like, because my mom is a musician, right?
Okay.
So she used to be in a band.
Comes from.
I grew up in a musically inclined household.
Okay.
Like my dad is playing like Bryan Adams and like Fairuz, and it's a weird mixture, obviously, like all from Canada to Beirut, but like it's there, right? So like they're playing all this like random like Aerosmith and there's
your
like
parents are playing Aerosmith?
Yeah. So okay.
Dude, my dad used to play classical music non-stop. It was Beethoven and Vivaldi and Bach and like it just on repeat.
Not classic like that, but like, yeah, that's amazing.
But you're like 10 years old and you're listening to that.
Yeah.
He'd throw in the odd Bob Marley.
Yeah.
And
Bob
Belinda
Marley
Carlisle.
for sure. ABBA and like, so they come to find out later on in my life that my dad owned a record store.
Oh, wow.
So there's like a whole thing like I
Damascus.
kept uncovering. So yeah, in Damascus, Syria, and that's how he met. Or that's when he was engaged to my mom. So he owned a record store for a while. I don't know how big or small it was. My dad's not very talkative, but he essentially owned a record store. So he has a crazy memory.
Okay.
From his generation of music that he knows or music that he listened to, you will hum him the melody, he will tell you the artist. Even if it's like so far-fetched. He'd be like, this guy, like Simone Hamra. I'm like, who is Simone Hamra, Baba? Like some like random Lebanese artist from like back then. He has like a very good musical memory, but he's not a musician in any way, shape, or form.
Okay.
My mom used to be in a band.
Okay.
So she used to tour. She used to be in like a school band, and like imagine like that's like the 70s. So and she's a woman, right?
Yeah.
So my grandpa was relatively quite open-minded, right? Like so.
She used to sing, or she performed? Like
she used to be the lead singer. So on my brother's first album, the back cover is my mom with her band. There's a picture of her, and she's wearing like some like, I don't know, some tribal like massive tee and stuff. So it's cool. She used to sing like Rahbaniyat. So it's like similar to like Fairuz is, because Rahbani is like basically her composer, her husband, and obviously is one of like the best composers, right? So like they call them Rahbaniyat, that type of music, or his catalog essentially. So she used to do a lot of those stuff.
Okay.
And I think there's a story of her being offered some form of a record deal that my grandpa was like, no way.
That's where you drew the line.
He's like, you can't do that. Like, we're not gonna have you like sign and become an artist and blah blah blah. So I think she couldn't do that. So when we were growing up, she was very much like, do it. And mind you, I'm growing up at that point. Like we moved from Damascus, Syria. I'm musically inclined. We moved to Saudi.
Okay.
And we're going back and forth to Syria. We go on summers. Like we're going to summers to Syria. And for those who don't know anything about Syria, there's a massive black market of software, which eventually migrated to the GCC. But it was really early. So like you can go and buy all these cracked and like software. Like you'll just buy any program you want.
Okay. I know.
So yeah, that's how, like, you don't remember when people used to go to Karama and buy all the like pirated softwares?
No, I didn't go out. I didn't.
So you buy pirated software
Okay.
essentially. So we were going from Saudi. There's none of that. We don't have access to a lot of things. There's no internet like that back in the day, and we're buying random things. So we're going and buying a bunch of music. So I would go and, like, during summer, I would spend 3 months like digging and trying to find like all the hip hop music that I can get my hands on.
Like tape or like on
CDs.
CDs.
It started off with tapes.
See how old I am. I'm saying.
Yeah,
tape.
no, it started off with tapes. Don't
Okay.
get me wrong. I remember buying the Michael Jackson history on tape. I remember buying Blood on the Dance Floor on tape. I remember my first, when I was in Saudi, a friend of mine, it was my birthday, he gave me a Tupac and Outlaws tape, which was technically my first rap album ever.
Okay.
So I didn't get I'm like, why are these guys not singing? I didn't get it, right? Like, again, you're watching MTV and it's like, it's a whole different world, right?
Yeah,
like, you're not seeing a lot of hip hop at that
Yeah,
point. Like, you're
yeah.
seeing the odd Will Smith song or the odd LL Cool J song, but it's like, it's in the mix, right? Like, the most hip hop you've been back then was Gangsta's Paradise, right?
Yeah,
So that's like how this is
Yeah.
like the first thing that you're hearing in rap, and it sounds different. So anyways, flying back and forth, we go in summers. I'm trying to get my hands on as many rap albums as possible. Like, I remember getting like Nori and like Pharrell stuff, and like I'm starting to like be like, oh cool, like Tupac. And like Tupac became like a big obsession for me. I'm like, oh, I love Tupac. I'm trying to get everything Tupac.
with you
Till
there.
today, I think Tupac is my favorite rapper ever. So it's just the passion, right?
100%. 100%.
So in that, you're in the black market, or like you're in the area where obviously it's not like you can buy legitimate stuff back in Syria back then, right? So you're buying all that, and then there's like a music store, and there's like a software store. So you walk in there, like, what software do you have? And it's like, oh, you like music? Check this out. And someone passes me a program that's called EJ.
EJ.
And EJ was essentially, if you don't make music and you're not a composer at all, it's essentially just loops, all kind of within the same key. So, there's a drum loop and a bass loop and a music loop or whatever, and you're putting together beats, and it's very like hip hop skewed. So you're making all these loops of songs, right?
Okay.
And
How old are you this time?
maybe like 13, 14.
Okay. All right.
Could be younger. I don't know. I'm bad with numbers.
Yeah, but
So essentially, I get my hands on that. I'm like, oh, cool. Oh, you can make music on computers.
Okay.
So this is when like my whole mind just like, it's like a whole thing. And now obsession starts.
Okay.
If this exists, there's something else.
Yeah.
And this is my obsessive personality.
Yeah.
I'm like, what else? Oh, cool. There's something more complex. I get on that. I start making beats. I'm like, oh, I'm back in Saudi at this point. I'm like, I can record myself. I started recording using these really cheap microphones, trying to figure out how to engineer voice.
Yeah.
And that was my obsession from maybe like 14 all the way to like 18.
Yeah.
I wanna produce music professionally.
Okay. So like you're focused on this now.
I wanna get it to sound like I'm hearing an Eminem song or like a Jay-Z song, and I'm like, how are they engineering this to sound like that? I want to sound like this.
And is it you that got your brother into rap?
Yeah, essentially.
Okay.
So
He's
I'm trying
younger
to,
than you.
he's younger. He's 5 years younger than me.
Okay.
So I'm trying to figure that part out. Then
Okay.
I get my hands on something called Fruity Loops. Till today,
Till
music producers,
Yeah.
some of the best ones are using Fruity Loops.
What is Fruity Loops?
It's basically a sequencer that you use to make beats.
Ah, okay.
So now they call it FL. It's
Okay.
a software, full-on software, nothing outside of the software.
Okay.
Essentially, that's what it is. So I get my hands on FL1. I think now they're up to 18 or something, even more. I think it's even higher. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I don't use it anymore. So I'm like, oh, cool. I don't have to use loops. I can sequence my own stuff. So I can put the kick here, the snare here. I can play my own chords. I can compose.
Okay.
So now at this point, I'm clicking things. And I'm trying to make beats.
Yeah.
I'm trying to record stuff. And then I meet other people that want to be rap. I'm like, oh, cool, you want to rap? I want to rap too. Let's rap together and be friends. So then it became my form of friendship.
Okay.
It became my form of like, anywhere I go in the world, I find my people that are trying to be artists and they want to make music. So it became kind of my thing. It became my whole personality.
Okay.
Like, you know
So
what I
14
mean?
to 18, this is what you do.
Till today, it's my whole personality.
Okay,
Like, I
right.
love, if I could stop doing everything that I'm doing today
Yeah.
and I could just make music all day, I would do it in a heartbeat.
But you can. It's just you don't like they're saying like
I just like the lifestyle.
the lifestyle of what? Of just making music?
No, of being affording the lifestyle. Like I like
okay.
to live well.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna like at this age. I think I didn't do the struggle long enough to build the music for music to become my main thing. Unfortunately, because I never felt like secure enough, so I can't do it now. So I don't know if I can drop everything and just make music and maintain how I live.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? I would have to struggle again.
Older.
I don't think I can do it at this point. You know what I mean?
You can. It's just, but you have a wife and you have kids.
Yeah, I'm also bougie.
I was trying to make it out. I was like, for your family, you don't
I'm
want
not
to do
bougie
it.
like that. Like I'm not
Yeah.
gonna lie, but like
Yeah.
you live in Dubai, you know, you're ordering Deliveroo 3 times a week.
Yeah.
You know, you pay rent. Rent's crazy. Like you're not gonna like I'm not suddenly packing everything. I'm like, baby, we're moving to Bar Dubai. Let's go. I'm gonna pursue this music thing. She's gonna be like, go back to the office. But like, anyways, it's also we're in a building phase. I'll get to the agency, but essentially my whole character became that.
Okay.
Figuring it out, I move all the way through Saudi.
Okay.
We live in Dammam. We start off in Jeddah. We move to Dammam. From Dammam or Khubar, I moved to Riyadh. From Riyadh, we moved back to Jeddah. So I did the whole tour, essentially, right? And I'm gathering more information across the time. And at this point, I go back to Jeddah. I'm like 13, 14, 15 at this point.
Are there different influences in all these places for you?
Yeah, it's crazy. Like
Okay.
Tupac, someone in Dammam really put me on Tupac.
Okay.
They were upset. Like there's something about Khubar. They were obsessed with Tupac.
Okay.
Right? And there was a big hip hop fashion movement there.
Okay.
So like the whole FUBU and like extremely baggy clothes was that period.
8-ball jackets and stuff, the AVs.
Crazy, man. Like just like I used to know a guy like people like the sagging of the pants, like all the way to like almost your knees and like the massive tees. That was like Khubar for me.
Yeah.
And there was a whole like extreme love for West Coast music
Over there.
Even in Riyadh, actually, there was a bit more of that. I moved back to Jeddah, and at this point, I'm older. I'm like 15, 16, so I'm almost grade 10.
Yeah.
So I'm going for 10, 11, 12. That's where I moved back to Jeddah, and this is where I like find my footing. I'm like, all right, cool. Jeddah, cool. There's relatively some kind of a music movement that I plug into and I start kind of playing a role into somehow. I meet these guys, Eritrean guys. We become really tight. We started like a little thing. We call it Microphone. We make music. The music is like relatively, if you hear it now, I'd be like, what is this shit? But we were trying, right?
Yeah.
One of them was extremely hustle oriented. His name is Joe. Joe was a hustler. He was switched on. This guy was going to get us a deal no matter what. And we signed the deal. We got all the way to, it used to be called Master something Music. And we got all the way to a deal. And we had an album and they gave us a budget and they were fronting the money and we were shooting videos. And I'm so happy that never came out because it was really bad. Not bad, but like I was rapping and I'm not great. Is out of necessity. I never understood that I was a producer. So at this point, there's not enough artists for me to work with. So I'm recording things. But what I didn't understand, if I was in LA, they'd tell me, hey, you're great at referencing. You could be a good songwriter or a top line writer or an idea generator. Don't do that. You sound horrible, bro. So
but you got the record label. You got a record, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot. I mean, it was not like the best deal of them, right? So like, eventually, Joe does go on to sign the first rap deal with Rotana. And he releases an album that I think I produced like 60% of, but that's like at a later stage.
Okay.
We were friends. We're not part of the same crew anymore. He has this whole other thing happening and he's doing his whole other thing. And I'm in a whole other world where I think at that point I'm in university. I'm going back and forth to Jeddah. And I'm just surrounded by music. Like my entire character and personality again is music. So in that time frame, I meet a guy called Samir Kredia. Samir Kredia used to work at a place called Silver Grape Studios.
Okay.
So Joe becomes cool with him. He goes like, hey, you work here. What do you guys do at the studio at night? We don't do anything with it. Can I bring in my friends and we make music here? Cool. Samir meets me. Immediately me and Samir, he's older. But me and him just click. He's like, yo, you have a grind in you. He listens to my shit. He's like, and he was relatively at that point, he knows how to arrange. He's an arranger. He's relatively not the best composer, but he composes on some level. He's like, you're talented, bro. I think you should do this. I'm like, cool. He's like, whenever you want. The studio's yours. You come in, you spend as much time, you make as much. And I'm at this point,
Because that's rare. Because the
I'm a
studio time is
16
not cheap.
I'm a 16-year-old kid
Yeah.
in Jeddah
Yeah.
with full access to probably the best studio that I could access, and a kid my age. And at that point, I'm now in the studio circuits. So I'm walking in and I'm meeting different composers that do, and all these guys, bless their heart, they're amazing, but they're all doing like ads, right? Like I'm not really meeting fucking like Swiss beats here, right? I'm meeting people who are making ad music, or they're making something for Abdul Majid Abdullah. Neither or, I'm not interested in. I'm trying to make music for like, I'm trying to get my beats to Dr. Dre. Like I'm on that type of like energy and time.
Yeah.
Like my sort of like ambition as a young kid had no sort of like reality. Like I was not living in this world. Like my mind was like, I'm gonna do this like on the highest level.
But why not?
We'll get there.
Okay.
So anyways, so then I do this, etc. Blah blah. Jeddah, amazing. We make music. I'm working with a lot of different artists. At this point, my brother's sort of figuring out what he likes to do.
Yeah.
I'm not working with my brother. I'm cocky at this point. Like,
He's a young kid,
you're
right?
a young kid. What are you doing, bro? I'm not
Learn
working with
something.
you. Whatever.
Yeah.
He goes off to university.
Where'd you go to uni, by the way?
I went to AUD.
Okay.
My brother goes to Greece for some random reason. He doesn't want to go to. He wants to leave the Middle East.
Okay.
He wanted to go to the States, but my brother has some friends who went there. He wanted to go there. The furthest he could go, Greece.
Was Greece.
Shout out to my passport. But anyways, that's a whole other thing. But he goes to Greece. He starts making music. I hear some of the stuff that he's making, and it's great. I'm like, yo, you're good, man. Let's work. So now we're bonding.
Oh, he doesn't say to you no. He says,
no,
okay.
he's not even asking me.
Yeah.
I hear some stuff. So essentially, Mo started using my contacts.
Yeah.
He struck friendship with Samit. So mind you, at this point, Samit Kredia has become like a pillar in the community.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys are all artists. You guys can all use my studio.
So he just
no hours charged, no money. Come in, just hang out. Let's play. And every artist you'll speak to that's from Jeddah has had some kind of song or some work done free of charge
by him.
But
So
me,
he supported a whole community of artists.
huge, and he doesn't get enough love, but he's an incredible guy.
Okay.
So Samir bought me my first. So before I go to university, like an older, like, I don't know, like brother, he drives me to this place and he's like, yo, you're not going to have access to anything. Let's go here. I'm like, what are you doing here? He's like, I'm buying you a MIDI keyboard and a microphone and a sound card. I'm like, what, dude? He's like, you're really good. Don't stop.
He just bought.
I'm going to Dubai. So I will not have the level of access that I have right now.
Yeah.
So he buys me all these things. And then I get my hands on a pair of speakers, and I'm in the AUD dorms, and my roommate hates me till today, but we're great friends. He was at my wedding.
Why did you choose? Why? Because
he's not fucking sleeping, bro. I'm like banging beats all the way to 3 a.m.
This is like
OT,
editing as
you know
well.
OT?
Huh?
You know
what's
OT?
No.
Oh, okay,
Overtime. I don't know.
No.
But what I don't understand is, why is it, I say you people, like it's like editors as well. Why don't you use headphones? Save everyone else around you.
It's not the same, bro.
Oh my God.
No, but editing is different. But like, you want to hear the bass and you want to feel the music. It's a whole different thing. When you're making a beat, you want to just like, you want to crank it up as loud as you can. And I used to get so many complaints from like my whole floor used to hate me. Making beats, going back and forth to Jeddah. And
You're still friends with with Samir now?
I don't speak to him as much.
Yeah,
I'm really bad at keeping in touch, but we're like,
okay.
we talk every now and then.
Okay.
But I still have like an enormous amount of love for him.
Yeah.
I go back, my brother's using the same studio. At this point, Samir left where he used to work and opened his own studio. So now it's even a bigger manic thing where he's like, oh, I didn't own the place and I let these many people in. Now I own the place. It's a circus in there. It's everyone and their mother just hanging out and making music, and you run into random people. And then so when I come, someone's like, yo, clear the room. This is Ayham's room for summer.
Sick.
He loves me that much, right? So I'm walking in there and I'm like, every summer I'm coming in, I'm working on an album. And I'm walking in like I'm on a job.
And did you?
I have like so many albums.
Amazing.
Never put out any of them. But I walk in and I'm like, I'm working on an album.
Why?
Because I didn't know what it was. Like,
you know what was?
Like, I don't know what the music was. I don't know what the identity was. I didn't have, essentially, I'm figuring out, I'm starting the transition from like, I'm making the vocals and I'm rapping to I'm a producer. And I don't have enough artists. So I'm like, oh, I'm working with a bunch of artists. At this point, I'm like, oh, cool. I'm like Timbaland. I do a bit of the song. I do a hook here and there. And then I have people featured on the songs.
Yeah.
And I make a bunch of those. But I never really put them out because, again, we're in the era of no self-distribution.
Oh, okay.
That's how
We didn't-
old it was, right?
Yeah.
Like, what am I doing? Burning on a CD and giving it to a bunch of friends is the maximum that you can do.
Okay.
Or someone's going to sign you, is no one's going to sign someone making music in English in the middle of
You can't,
KSA.
you can't self-publish
Saudi.
and get streams yourself.
Not
and
like
things
that.
like that.
That world doesn't exist.
But then you heard your brother's music and you were in. You
So I
this is
found
good.
his sessions on the
Okay.
same studio. Mo was coming in with his friends and making shit, right? So I'm like, oh, this is good. Yo, come in, let's start working. I start working with him from then.
Yeah.
And we start making music. I'm like, you're this. And we start figuring out his artist identity. He then leaves Cyprus and moves to Dubai. And then we start working seriously. Like, yo, let's do this. Let's put out a listening party for you, blah, blah, blah. And he's...
That's crazy because it's like the Dr. Dre and Warren G and Snoop thing. Where
Essentially.
Dre was
Yeah.
doing it, and then they were trying to show their stuff to Dr. Dre, and Dr. Dre
he's
was
like-
like, it's like who? The
And
hell
I was
are
like
you?
that, right?
Yeah, he was like, who are you? Who are you? And then he hears Snoop and Warren G together, and he
Yeah.
was like, oh shit, let me get this guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like, out of all the artists that I worked with, like, I always recognized that Mo was super talented. He could sing, he could rap. He's a great writer. He is very advanced, right? So like, we could do things that were amazing together. So
Yeah.
we started making music here, started really trying to push him as an artist out here, right?
Yeah.
Started doing the listening parties, and this is where we sort of meet Majid, and then sort of it all starts to kind of like snowball. Obviously, there's a lot of details here and there, but
Yeah,
this
but
could be
it's-
like a
it's
7-hour podcast, you know? You don't want it to be like that, but
Yeah.
like, yeah, essentially that's where it starts, and that's where it starts growing from there.
Okay.
You know?
All right.
Yeah.
And then you, it's a lot. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What was and then you started the agency. So how did you
Yeah.
I don't know, move sideways and create the agency?
In our mind, it wasn't sideways.
It was.
In our mind was like, oh, now we're self-distributing. Now you
Okay.
can put your music out. Fantastic. Okay, cool. So we can put our music out. Wait, we're going to need marketing. That's the most expensive thing. How are we going to market our music? How are we going to be big? We need creative. We need videos. We need PR.
So you created the agency to promote your music.
Essentially, we're like, anything we're going to create in the world is going to need marketing. If
Yeah.
we don't own marketing, we're never going to be able to be successful. So if we create a marketing agency, anything we create can be funneled through the agency and become successful because we make good product.
Yeah.
That was the idea,
Yeah.
right? And that's how basically the agency was like, basically, it's not a detour,
Yeah.
but it is like a necessity for whatever we're going to create in the future. Whatever I do in the future is going to need an agency.
Yeah.
So that's what, basically, I'm on a side mission that's been going on for 8 years, but I love it.
All right. The agency or you love the
I love
agency.
the agency, yeah.
And you still do the music.
I still do the music, not to the level of freedom that I would love to have, but I still do the music.
But it's amazing that you had that influence of the music influence of so many people in your life, growing up. I mean, obviously your parents are big into
Yeah.
music, and then you had this, would you
Samir.
call him Samir as a
Yeah.
mentor?
Yeah, big time.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And then you also met your wife through music as well.
Yeah. So we were looking for DJs.
Yeah.
So we used to throw this thing we had a contract with Design District. We throw like an unplugged night once a season. And we do like maybe three weekends or 6 weekends of it. We were looking for DJs, and we were basically trying to, our whole thing was like, we were trying to put new faces on. We don't want to see the same faces that everyone is seeing.
Yeah.
So we were curating some names. My brother goes like, yo, check this DJ out. So I DM her.
Yeah.
And like, yo, until today, she doesn't believe me. She thinks that I was
You
just
were sliding
immediately...
into a DM.
Exactly.
Ah,
But
okay,
I genuinely, that wasn't my intention when I reached out to her, but we just clicked. And we
Okay.
kept talking. At that point, she lives in Portugal.
Okay.
She moves back, and then we start dating.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was your biggest struggle trying to get all this off the ground?
The agency,
Yeah, the agency.
getting people to take you seriously.
Okay.
Essentially,
Why? Because you had the music background, so they just
Yeah.
thought you. Okay.
oh, you're the producer guy, maybe. Or essentially, nobody, like, you're not really, everyone who starts agencies come from your world.
Mhm.
Like, you're an agency, right?
I was.
You
Yeah.
was.
I was in production. Yeah.
You're in production.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
at the point where you reached peak where you are in production,
Yeah.
you go like, I'm going to open up my own shop. You go in with knowledge,
Yeah.
potentially investors, because you already have the network and
Yeah.
you know who your first project's going to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
We started an agency with none of these three things.
Okay.
No investment,
Yeah.
zero knowledge about the agent. Like, at that point, the highest experience, I was an account executive at like Havas.
Now, just to go back, you also have a business degree.
Yeah.
So you would have learned in business that this is not the way to open a business.
Yeah.
But you did it anyway.
Fuck it.
Why?
Because, what do you mean? What other options? What other ways could I have done it? Like
You
put in
could have just not done it.
put
Because
a-
a lot of people don't.
like a business plan.
No, a lot of people just would have said like, we don't have this, this, and this. We're not going to open.
Yeah.
I'll just maintain and I'll just keep on going.
Yeah, that's true.
You know.
But at that point, it
But you
was
chose to go.
I had partners.
Okay.
I
But
had-
did they bring money into it?
No,
Okay.
but they were willing to go into the ditch with me.
Okay. So you had ride or dies.
And that's what I always tell people. Like, if you're gonna start a business, if
Yeah.
you're standing by yourself, there's a high. You're gonna quit. You need people who are as crazy as you
Mm.
and are willing to go into the ditch and dig their way out.
Okay.
Because you're gonna have to come out the other way.
Okay.
You're not gonna be able to climb out that because you're gonna dig yourself. You know what I mean? That's how long the journey is.
Okay.
So essentially, I had partners who were willing to sort of struggle with me, and the other thing of like not doing it was never really in our minds. Like, again, we were fearless, right?
No plan B. It was this is what we want to do and this is what we want to go for.
We could, I can go out and get a job tomorrow.
Mm.
How hard is it going to be? I'll put my LinkedIn. I'll do a bunch of outreaches.
I never like I've applied like I've done the LinkedIn thing was just to show that I tried looking
Yeah,
for
but
stuff.
you can. Yeah, I don't think I'll struggle to find a job.
No, for sure. Yeah.
But I think I don't think I'll be a good employee.
Okay. We'll cut that part out in case you need to get a job.
I don't think I'll take direction well.
Okay.
I'll be honest with you.
All right. But you guys were fully focused. The three of you said we're gonna do it.
We didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
Well, like, it's an agency. We didn't know what the service was. We'll figure out the service.
Mm.
We don't know who the client is. We'll figure out the client. And it was very much. And honestly, Majid had a lot of like little things that he would say during the thing. Our long talks. He's like, you know what, man? I think treating it like a research project, or treating it like a lot of people. I remember we were talking about that, and he's like, people put together business plans and it's stupid.
Okay.
What's the guarantee?
There is no guarantee.
You can't pivot quick enough if you have a business plan because you're stuck to it.
Okay.
But if you kind of figure things as you go and you see what it is and you're able to pivot quick enough, you're not really married to a business. Like, we didn't know what Hrmny was going to be, right?
Why Hrmny, by the way?
The initial part is Hrmny Brothers,
Yeah.
me and Mulham.
Yeah. But why Hrmny? Just because it's
And my last name is Homsi. It's not really the coolest thing to say, is it? Now, Homsi Brothers, So people think, yeah, this is the Homsi Brothers. Like, you know what? We make music together. Hrmny Brothers sound cool. Let's
Okay.
call it Hrmny Brothers. Like, that was sort of like our artist collective, me and Mo, or like the
Okay.
initial name of the label.
Yeah.
And then Majid came in. We're like, we'll drop the brothers.
So
That's
Hrmny.
HRMNY.
Yeah, because I love the way it looks. It looks cool. I'm just wondering. How
And
you got
honestly,
there.
a lot of the aesthetic and idea, like a lot of those times, like Majid had a really good eye when it comes to those things. Like, yeah, we should make it different. We should review the brothers. Like, I remember like a lot of our brainstorms, a lot of those things, the logo. So it's always, I'm welcoming, Like, I want people to, I love collaborating with people.
Okay.
So when people have a different view on things, like, I'm like, why don't we explore that,
It's funny you say you like collaborating with people, but you also say you don't want to have a.
No, I don't want to report to people. I want to tell people what to do. I don't want them to tell me what to do.
Now, did you ever think along this journey of the 8 years of the agency, or the when you had the record label, it's too hard, I'm done?
It's hard. It's hard till today.
Okay.
It's not easy.
So how did you keep on going?
I was having a meeting with Majid last week, and he's like, I worked on my CV last week. I'm like, me too. So
Wait, your business partner and you are talking about how you worked on your own CVs.
I mean, it crosses your mind all the time.
But you do that when you're at work and your boss is giving you a hard time, and you're like, let me see what's out there on LinkedIn and let me update my CV. You don't do it as the owner of the company.
Yeah, but also like sometimes you do.
Okay.
I guess. I don't know. Like, it's always an option. Like, oh, can I do something else?
Okay.
Right? Like, can I be head of business somewhere else? Can I do something? Like, it's always a thing that you explore.
Okay.
Then,
so you have this conversation, and then what?
We never sent out our CVs.
No, of course not. But
We love the freedom. Like, we have an enormous amount of freedom to run the business the way we want to run it.
Yeah.
So that's the price we pay. And it's this stress that we have to deal with a lot of the time. So like, part of running a business is stress. And then we're not running an operation where it's like, we're not shy in the sense of like, we want to bring in employees. We want to hire a good structure. We want to be a good agency. Like
Yeah.
we don't want to be. I run into people that are like that are starting agencies and I'm like, do it the right way. Get an accounts team. Get someone who does business development. Do you have a creative director? Get a creative director. Get an ACD. Get copywriters. Have a proper production team. So like
That sounds like a business plan to me.
yeah, but like we figured that out later on. But like it's always we want to do things at the highest level.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Like I am right now in pitches against like an Ogilvy, right? Or I'm pitching against this and this global agency. You know, I don't want to say bleep Ogilvy. I don't want them to come after me. They're big.
It's okay. I know people that don't work.
Yeah, but I'm just saying like it's like I don't. Similarly, when we wanted to make music, how can I make my song sound like that Jay-Z record?
Okay.
How can I make my agency operate at an Ogilvy level?
Okay.
I don't want to come in like to do something I like. It doesn't interest me.
It's subpar
At all.
But then, that's like you said, it's hard.
Yeah.
So then, how do you keep going? Because it's like you said, you can easily just get a job.
Not easily, but I
you
can.
could pivot, and do it. Yeah. Or go back to DJing or whatever. There's many things you can do because you have overheads, you have responsibilities, you have.
It's a lot of self-doubt, honestly. Like it's a lot. I'll be very honest with you. It's something we talk about regularly. Should we shut this down and do something else?
Okay. And in the moments of self-doubt, what comes into your head?
We have a team and we have responsibilities and we have clients and it's again I have partners. So that's the best thing about having an ecosystem of partners. You never have lows at the same time.
Okay, so when you're down, they're up, and then when they're down, you're up.
So it's like a whole like, what are you talking about? Look at this, man. We just won this pitch, or we're just doing this, or can you believe that we just signed this? Or look at this incredible execution. Have you seen what your content team is doing? Can you believe we just did our first TVC?
Okay.
It's like, you know what I mean? It's like we're always giving each other a positive perspective on where we are in the journey. Even when we talk, me and Majid, we're at different spectrums of the business. Like he's in Saudi, he's dealing with a whole other part of the operation. I'm here doing this whole operation. And our conversations always midway is like, can you believe we're doing this? Like we thought about this, we're doing this, we have employees, it's all business running, blah, blah. Like it's also still a little bit crazy.
So you remind yourself of like gratitude.
Yeah. Like it's always the like grounding yourself and going like, you know what, it's not so bad. Because I tend to be center focused on either negativity or positivity. So
No, we're not in the middle.
No.
So
I'm an extremist. So like I'm either extremely negative about things and like I'm calling my brother and it's like, bro, we're going down. It's going down. It's war.
And then
this
he
is
brings
it.
you off the ledge.
And he's like, bro, call me back when you calm down or like take a day off. Like just go relax. Don't worry. Things are fine.
That's how he brings you down.
Yeah, we're brothers. So he's not really taking any of my shit most of the time.
Because I have that depressive side. And I have to like almost overdose on endorphins.
Yeah.
Like, because if I'm not exercising and keeping myself on a constant level of like high, I'm gonna go into that dark place and just be like. So what do you do outside of work to keep you?
I think since I got married, my wife has a really good way of creating a really good work-life balance for me.
Okay, so she tells you what to do essentially.
Yeah, and I listen. Because she's great at curating amazing experiences, right? So like essentially, if it wasn't for her, I'd be working 24/7 to 12 o'clock. I'd be waking up every day. Like I wouldn't be creating that. And that balance that she gives me helps me kind of like recharge. And I'm like, I'm feeling like I'm ready to, do it again tomorrow. Because I go home. And also when I got married, I learned I park outside the house. I don't know if anyone else does that. And I try to make sure that the energy stays in the car.
Okay, I understand.
So I switch it off.
Yeah, you don't bring your troubles.
I'm not a boss.
Yeah,
I have a lot of problems at work. They're not coming through that door. I have kids in there. I want to be.
This is very important.
It's hard because it took me a while.
Because whoever's at home supporting you or with you, your partners, don't deserve the shit that you're taking.
And I don't bring it.
Yeah.
And it's like I was really bad at it. And then I remember I was having a conversation with I think it was Reem. She's a friend of mine. She's amazing. So she was like, this is what you need to do. You need to figure out. Like I remember it was like one of our long talks. She works out at the warehouse. So I run into her and she used to have a production house. She's in the creative consultancy world. So we always have these long conversations. And at one point she's like, I sit in my car and I deflate for 10 minutes and I make sure that I ground myself and I leave that shit here in the car, outside the house. I don't bring it home with me.
Yeah.
And then I started trying that. Like I would arrive home and I would like basically just ground it and I would leave it in the car, walk in the house, brand new. And there's a second hack too. I don't deal with finances at the business. I'll explain what that means. It's like my person.
You just said you signed the checks.
I do.
Okay.
I don't look at what the amount is.
Okay. I have some checks.
So my brother does operate. My brother does and he hates me for that. Like that's why I love him.
Wait, your brother, the rapper singer, does operations as well.
Operations, HR, finance. He's essentially.
We need him on the show as well.
He's amazing. So he carries that load, which I think helps me to dream.
Okay.
Because I don't know like there could be a massive iceberg coming. I just have no idea. I'm like this oblivious creative idiot running around with like, hey, we should launch an ice cream brand, which we did, by the way. So, right? So essentially it's this is me. I'm like walking in.
Hey, bro, wait. Yeah. You don't just throw that out there and be like, oh, we just move on. How do you go from music to how do you launch an ice cream brand? Where does that come from? Oh, I love ice cream.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, but I love many things. I didn't.
So
okay, tell me.
It's always a challenge of like, can I do some? It's in the dark moment of working on my CV and go like, can I do something else? But then I'm like, okay, wait, maybe I don't have to get another job. Maybe I can start another business. So in that thing, I'm like, okay, we started Hrmny because we want to do things.
Yeah.
So what if it's not music? Because music is not,
you
know, you're not going to make a lot of money from it.
Yeah.
What if it's something else that I'm passionate about? I love food.
Yeah. We always need to eat.
Huh?
We always need to eat.
And we always need to eat.
Yeah.
And essentially because of our music background, the next logical thing for us to do is a clothing brand.
Okay, because I think you're going to say, because of our music, the most logical thing to do is ice cream. Like,
I know it made no sense, but let me explain.
Clothing, 100%.
A hoodie.
100%.
Right?
Rockaway, all that
with
stuff.
Hrmny logo on it?
Yes.
Fuck that.
Yes. Oh.
No, fuck that.
Oh, okay, no.
It's an easy way out. It's not challenging enough. I'm not going to leave enough of a footprint and an impact if I do the easy thing.
Okay.
Ice cream, way harder and a lot more impact because it just differentiates you. I know it makes no sense, but I promise.
Again, I love ice cream.
I know.
But I'm just trying to understand
I didn't mean anything by saying I know, but like everybody loves ice cream.
No. But my logic is that like you're telling me that we're going to work on your CV. Okay. So logically, I want to find an easy, but no, you're going to say,
it's challenge.
Let's go and open an ice cream brand. Let's compete with Magnum and like.
Oh no, not Magnum. I can't really go against Maybe we'll sell to them at one point, sure. Okay. But like that wasn't the whole competing with Magnum.
Yeah.
We got an opportunity. Yeah. A friend of mine who works at SVD had a space at Bread.
Okay.
And I was telling him I would love to launch an ice cream brand. At that point, basically, I'm talking of I have a lot of friends in the F&B world who put me to a kitchen that makes ice cream.
Oh, okay.
So I was already kind of like tinkering with the idea of doing this, but I was like, I'll develop and I'll work on this for 12 months and I'll put it out.
And did you?
So this is the thing. He calls me. He's like, are you still serious about doing this ice cream thing? I'm like, yeah, I'm working on it. He's like, I have a space for you. You have to be ready in 8 weeks. Okay. Hang up. Cool, guys. Get the creative director in here. Guys, we got to brand it. What do we call it? Cream. They're like, guys, this is lame. I'm like, trust me, it's called Cream. C-R-M? It's an ice cream brand. No, CREAM. It makes no sense. I know. Okay. But like, let's call it Cream. It's an ice cream experience. We play around with different ice cream forms. We're not always one thing, but I love ice cream sandwiches because I was looking at the Action Bronson collaboration with Banana Creamery in New York, and they did like these ice cream sandwiches that were so cool. Like, let's do that. And then let's do packages. We look at the packaging, and I'm working with a supplier. And
all in 8 weeks.
And we launch. And we launch at Bread, and we sell out.
And now,
I'm still working on getting the next phase of it now.
Okay.
But we're gonna go live on Deliveroo.
This is full on.
Dude, I'm crazy. So
okay, what's your favorite flavor?
So all the flavors are very weird. So we have 5 flavors. One called Ashta La Vista, which is like an Ashta.
Ashta La Vista.
With Ashta. right? You know Arabic
I don't know
ashta. Arabic ashta is like heavy cream
Okay.
that we eat as a thing that we put on top of like knafe or like Arabic sweets. It's called ashta.
Okay.
So I can tell you how it's made, but
No.
we don't want to go in 7 hours.
Ashta la vista, yeah.
So ashta la vista is one. I have one called the Big Aboud.
The Big Aboud, named after.
Have you been to a cafeteria?
A cafeteria?
You've never eaten in a cafeteria?
I have.
Have you had the Aboud juice?
No.
Aboud juice is like a mango and like vanilla smoothie that they make. Fantastic. So we made one that's like inspired by that. Turn it into a sandwich. Phenomenal.
Okay.
We have one that's called tahini softly.
Tahini softly.
So softly.
Okay.
So tahini and mango are a thing. Like if you go and you eat street food in Mexico, they put tahini, which is the Mexican spice.
Okay.
It's like a bit tangy, it's slimy, it's spicy, and they put it on mango and you eat it off street food.
Okay.
So we made an ice cream sandwich inspired by that. There's one called Triple Double, which is like an which is like all chocolate, just dark milk, biscuit.
I love the names,
everything.
By the way. This is like it sounded like crazy insanity.
There's one called Parley. There's one called Parley with Me.
Parley with Me.
Because Parley biscuits, which are big here within the Asian community, and if you grew up here, you know Parley biscuits.
No, I know digestives. I grew up
no, they're a bit like so it's like really like OG, you know.
Okay.
So it's inspired by that. And there's another flavor that I just can't. Oh yeah, there's the date no pudding.
Date no pudding.
Because it's inspired by date pudding, but it's not really date pudding. So it's like salted caramel ice cream.
These are amazing ideas.
Yeah, so like I have ideas, and then like essentially this is the first time that I'm like, oh cool, I have ideas. Can I go to the agency and make the agency bring them to life?
Okay.
So that's what we did. We branded it. We designed the booth. We did the festival and bread. Then we went to Circal, and then we just kept it alive like as a brand. So essentially, we're a creative agency that has a manic managing director.
Well, it sounds like a lot of fun.
It is.
Yeah. We also have a tradition on the Rice Pudding project, and we call it the wild card game. I haven't really figured out what we call it, but it's wild card questions.
Okay.
So in these cans, there is a question.
Okay.
You choose which can at random. I will read it out to you, and then you can choose whether or not you want to answer or not.
Cool.
Okay. So choose a can from here.
Let's do the one on the top.
The one on the top. Okay. Drum rolls are... Okay. Tell us about animals you have loved and hated.
Don't really have a special story about that. I have a dog.
Okay.
Like I'm not really big on animals like that. No,
do I think about...
I do. But I've always loved him since I met him. He was an amazing guy.
What kind of dog is it?
He's a Havanese.
A what?
Havanese.
What's a Havanese?
It's like he's basically from Cuba, like Havana. So he's a Havanese. That's the breed.
I had no idea there was such a...
Me neither. I just thought he was really cool.
What's he called?
Mishmish. I'm not responsible for that name. It's my wife. I promise. I fought it. He looked like Groot.
Groot from...
He looked like him when he was really young. So when we first got him, I'm like, listen, I think he's Groot. She's like, what the fuck is a Groot? I'm like, I forgot that my wife doesn't watch any Marvel movies.
Okay.
So I'm like, fine. She's like, Mishmish. I'm like...
Why Mishmish?
I don't know, man. She still thought it was cute. I don't know. Why do girls call things? I don't know.
Why do we... I mean...
No, women tend to like call pets really cute names.
Okay.
Like
Mishmish.
Yeah. So she had a dog.
Yeah.
Who now lives with her family.
Okay.
So her family basically did not allow her to take her dog.
Okay.
So they kept him, and then I'm like, she's like, yeah, let's get another dog. She kept saying this. I'm like, cool, let's do it.
Okay.
So we got Mishmish.
What advice can you give to artists who want to build a career or,
Okay, so your audience is the internet.
The internet.
Don't look at Dubai. Don't think about geography.
Okay.
So
So
as an
wherever you're based.
ecosystem, so we have an incredible ecosystem here, right? You can live really well. There's a lot of amazing creatives here. You have all the facility and sort of the life and the piece you need to be an artist.
Yes.
But essentially, when we started, we were limited to I'm trying to break in Dubai or out of Dubai.
Okay.
Right?
Was that because there wasn't the access, the streaming services?
There was no streaming.
Okay.
There was no real audience building outside of your current, whatever you have going on.
Yeah.
You have to think of Dubai as your Hollywood,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's the place you develop. It's not the place where you focus on building your core fan base only, right? Because Dubai as a city is ever growing. And we've seen it grow from like the population is just changing and it's growing
like
all the time.
Well, UAE is like over 10
Exactly.
million,
So essentially, you don't get to grow a fan base here as quickly as you want. So what you want to do is focus on all the infrastructure you have here to help you build a fan base everywhere else.
Okay.
And use this. It's a fantastic base. And if you want to have an LLC or you want to build your business or you want to, you know what I mean? It's all
You can
easy
do all
for you.
here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the way I look at Dubai and the way I think about it, it's in that way.
Okay.
Breaking out of Dubai is not a thing. And essentially, I think the music business is worldwide is going through a crazy shift. Labels are relatively closing down or shutting down big departments. Distribution is changing. Everything is there's a whole kind of restructure that's going on right now.
Yeah.
So artists should focus on building very niche small communities around them and only them, and understand that the monetization that they could have from a very small niche is massive.
Okay.
So if I can get 1,000 people to pay me $10 a month.
Yeah.
It's insane. If you think about it.
Yeah.
Right? If I can do that. So like the Patreon model. So there's this really good platform called Even. And essentially that's how it works. You build small communities, you do early releases for your communities. It's focused only on music and you just do that directly with them. And then you go to streaming.
Yeah.
So first of all, I think the relationship with streaming has to change. It cannot be streaming first anymore. You don't go to streaming first. Because streaming essentially doesn't pay you enough as an independent artist.
Yeah.
For you to make enough money to sustain, if you want to build a real, like let's say you want to sustain and survive.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you're going to be driving a Lamborghini, but you want to just survive. You want to, like you have a job, but you want it to be music. You got to then figure out how you can monetize a smaller fan base that you can build an authentic relationship with because they like who you are and they like the music that you make, and then scale that slowly with a high level of consistency. But what you want to do is you want to cut all the middlemen out and you want to go artist to consumer first, then streaming third. So you change how you release music essentially.
Okay.
Right? Similarly to some of the comedians that basically do special to consumer, then they go and shop it out, or they do that until they become very popular and then they get the Netflix thing. So essentially it's doing that.
Okay.
And also artists are really bad at social and they're really bad at Instagram.
And that's important?
Very. That's the world we live in, unfortunately. If you cannot create a narrative around who you are, like people are not really listening to music from artists. They like the song. Like back in the day, there was the mystique, right? Like you don't know what kind of cereal, or you maybe
DMX
knew.
was like,
yeah, like you don't know.
Yeah.
You just like his music.
Yeah.
And there's a mystique around it. And I think that because of social became about like, no, like I really like who this person is. And I love the music that he makes.
Okay.
Right? So I think like building that on social and figuring out what your thing is could really help you.
Now, everyone's talking about AI, so I have to ask about it.
Yeah.
Is it something that new artists or old artists should be afraid of and avoid?
No.
And so then what do? You embrace it?
There's a big copyright question, and there's a the database of music that AI was basically trained on. There's a big question mark around. So that is my only concern. So essentially there is potentially some form of infringement that's happening right now because the music that trained AI
It's from where?
It's all the music in the world. So someone went and built an AI, like there's a few right now out there that generate relatively scary stuff. You put it in there, you write a prompt, it gives you a full song and with lyrics and you're like, whoa, how did you learn that? The training was done via music, and the licensing of that to train wasn't really done through a full, transparent, and legal way, right?
Yeah, so they could have ripped Mo's Mo's voice, Mo's style.
No, they just gave it all the music they could get their hands on. So essentially, it's very gray. And the issue is that most distribution contracts don't have a clear understanding of how we're going to deal with AI and learning. So what is my fee as an artist when AI uses my music to learn to make music?
Yeah.
So that's the part we don't know how. But utilizing it, I'm using it right now.
Okay.
I use AI to build different sections of music. I use it for inspiration. If I'm ever stuck on a song, it helps me build different sections. So I use it sort of like as a quicker sort of route to break from the usual way I create music, because it helps you like generate ideas very fast. So essentially sometimes I would upload my beat and I go like, yo, give me a cover of my beat in a different style. And I would hear how it sound if it was Spanish. I'm like, oh cool, maybe I should add a guitar lead right here. Or give me a top line, and it would give me a top line idea and without the lyrics. I'm like, oh cool.
Okay.
So essentially it's like having a really intelligent counterpart to work with.
Another partner.
Basically.
So it's basically enhancing what you're doing rather than eroding.
Yeah. Don't look at AI as a replacement of you. Look at it as an extension of you. So now basically as humans, we're going to become really intelligent because we have additional brain power that we can access. Mind you, you're dealing with a machine that at best it's 400 points of IQ higher than you, which is insane.
The thing is, just because it gives
I don't know if
you
that number was right, by the way.
It
but
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We can, you know.
We're here at the rice project.
Rice pudding project.
Rice pudding project. We just
we just go with
spew out facts. Yeah. It's all random. I don't know what's right or wrong, but hey, 400 points.
There is no right or wrong. It's all. You know. We'll check with AI and they'll tell us. Listen, this has been awesome. Thank you for coming on the show. Is there anything you wanna? We've said a lot of things. You've said, you know, it's anything you want the audience to know about you, where they can see you, where they can catch you. Where can they buy the ice cream?
Sure, ice cream will be live on Deliveroo hopefully within the next couple of months.
Yeah.
You know, we're gonna be doing pop-ups hopefully in Ripe Market. We're probably gonna do a bunch of other pop-ups hopefully in the year. You know, the agency is Hrmny.co. which is hrmny.co. On Instagram, I'm AY the producer. So, and I'm doing a food vlog that I do right now in there, so you guys can catch my
amazing
fun times.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.